I'm just lost the plot in the last few days. Thanks to Johnny, who's will hopefully run the show tonight because, like I said, I've got no idea. But I do know one thing, Johnny, and that's great to see you, my friend.
Oh, good on you, mate. Thanks very much. What a wonderful intro. Yeah, look at you've obviously been extremely busy. The reason we couldn't do the show last week. So, how are you, mate? How was State and Kidney? They treat you all right up there?
Yeah, really nice. Stayed at the New Crown. Very nice up there indeed. The $900 a room. Enjoyed the best part about it was the Japanese toilet.
Oh, so right up the date.
Right. Well, yeah, all that kind of stuff. But the best thing was you walk up to it and the lid would go up, and then you sit down on a nice heated seat. So I spent most of my time just sitting on the toilet. It was the best part of Sydney.
And went through many newspapers and magazines.
Went through many newspapers, but no, very glad to be home, back in beautiful downtown Melbourne. And what's going? You got a new camera there, mate. You're looking splendid, looking very clear coming through. Or
I don't know.
new internet service provider.
No, just I think we got the lighting right again.
The lighting right.
It happened once before, about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, once before. Good evening to our very, very good friends. Richie Benakaza, good evening to you. Thanks for tuning in. Anthony Walsh, love you very much. Luigi Folino, good evening to you, my friend. Thanks for tuning in on this Tuesday night. Where's everyone coming from tonight? That'd be let us know where you're coming from. That'd be fantastic. Speaking of where you're coming from, I had the very good pleasure of catching up with one of our Japanese viewers the other day, and that was very, very fantastic to see him in Melbourne.
Mr. Rose?
Mr. Julian Rose, and yeah, we had a quick beer. We had to rush around a little bit due to some unforeseen circumstances, but yeah, good to see one of the guys in the flesh. So thanks, Julian. It was good to catch up with you.
Yeah, great stuff.
Jamie Phelan, good evening to you, Jamie. Carly Bumbus, good afternoon. Carly, good evening. It is, yes, good evening, yes. Lognita. Loginla. Hello, bruv. Is that one of your friends, Johnny?
No, I don't believe so.
Brennan says, what a game. Also, apologies for not tuning in last week. That's okay. I'll forgive you.
Brendan, how dare you?
How dare you, Brendan? How dare you? That's okay.
I want to ask Brendan, is that your first one you missed?
No, he had to talk to his wife last week. That was his problem. And I just said to him, because we weren't on, you get to work out how to speak to his wife. I said, don't worry about that. Just go back one of the old shows. You don't have to speak to the wife at all. Great Walls, the West Coast, South Island, New Zealand. Thank you for tuning in all the way over in our sister country, Kate. That's fantastic. Hope the weather's over there very, very nice. Did you get over to Australia much, Kate? Booked your finals tickets. Make sure you're coming over for September. That'll be something to talk about. Deb, good evening to you. Cold, bleak, wet Melbourne. I missed the Gold Coast. Oh, yes, he's back again, Deb. I'm glad you made it back. I'm on a cup of teas tonight just because I'm trying to stave off something, but I'm going to do a little bit of something new, and that's follow up with a Starwood Chaser. So
brilliant.
I don't know how that's going to work, but a cup of tea followed by the Starwood whiskey will be very nice indeed.
Brendan Whitford at a Manchester United game. That's not an excuse.
Get over it, mate. Yeah, come on, mate.
Get on the phone at the game. Nothing happens in soccer.
Exactly. Yeah, it's only a 3-0 or something like that. Tanya Berger, good evening to you. Tanya, Rob Fisher, hello to you. Bretsky coming in from YouTube, as always. Did enough holes in our game. Let us know what you think they are. Speed in the middle and more forwards need to stand up. 100% right. Matt Bapti. G'day, Matt. Thank you for tuning in. Love everyone joining in to see us tonight. If you got something you want to talk about, let us know. Don't just let us ramble on like usual, even though we'll usually find something to talk about. You can let us know what you want to talk about. Andrew Lake, do you know that guy at all, John?
No, first time viewer, I think.
First time, long time, Andrew. Andrew is, for everyone who might not know, and I'm sure you will, Andrew is the brains behind this show. And
Carlton Google
feeds us all the information we need to know in a little earpiece I've got in my ear.
And like I've said many times, it's actually quicker to ask Andrew than to go to Google to get the answer.
It is. That's for sure.
So 1977, Andrew, in
Testing.
round 19, who was our leading goal kicker?
Do you want to know who kicked the most goals at that round, or do you want to know up to that round?
No, of that particular round,
Okay.
who was the Carlton main goal scorer?
Okay. Andrew will come back with that promptly, I'm sure. Carly Bumbus has kicked us off very, very early and set the tone. First half was not great. I sat there, Johnny, and I thought, the crowd was pretty ordinary. I don't know what it was. It seemed to be a little bit flat. I don't know if we were nervous, the crowd. It was really uninspiring. And I said the players out there, I put on Twitter that they were playing like they were out for a Sunday stroll. It was really not intensive from any of both teams. We just looked like I don't know what we were doing. I don't know whether we were playing a little bit scared because that was a danger and we needed to get up. We needed to win, of course, to maintain us. I don't know what it was, but our intensity was just really not there, and the crowd's intensity was even worse. As the crowd started to grow, our intensity started to grow. So, which was interesting. But
correlation is that chicken or the egg?
I think it was the team that probably started the crowd going, to be honest, and I think they probably got a cracker up them to start to lift the intensity. So I think it just gradually grew together. But the crowd eventually caught up, and I think then even the team started to match that intensity as well.
Yeah. So Fox Footy, love them or hate them, they have their what's called their pressure index. I'm not sure if you saw this within the replay, but in the opening quarter it was about 150. The league average is 190. And in the second quarter, where we sort of got it together, that latter part of the second quarter was up to 205. So that's a huge difference. That's actually saying, we came out, we weren't ready to play. That first quarter reminded me of the Gold Coast game, that we were just completely nonchalant. It was like a lay down misère, we thought we'd just walk in and just the job was done.
I don't know, but they were the same. They weren't put the intensity of the whole game was none like I'd never felt before. The crowd there was only a relatively small crowd there, but it was just, as I said, I hadn't really experienced a game of that lack of intensity. I felt for the two people in the GWS cheer squad who were trying to try their hardest, but it was I don't know. It was really weird. I don't know if anyone else was at the game. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. What have we got here? Rob says turning point was when Walsh and Weeders returned from the bench. Huge tier too. I'm
Yes.
sure. Yeah. Everyone's heart was in their mouth there too. But I don't know if anyone else saw. But early on, Charlie was down holding his knee. I don't know if anyone caught on that, or there was just something we saw at the game. But he was. We had hearts in mouth there because he was on the ground for a few seconds holding his knee.
Yeah, so on TV that was out of camera, but they did mention it, and he got straight up and looked okay.
Yeah, he did.
It just looked like a bit of a knock, apparently. So reading the injury report, both Wiedering and Walsh are training and expected to play.
Good news. And McGovern's out for 8 weeks because he's hurt his toenail at training.
Oh, how do you know?
That's the usual expectation. He plays a game and gets injured at some stage, but no, that is not true, ladies and gentlemen. That is not true. McGovern was straight back into the side, which is interesting in itself. Getting straight in, I don't know if you agree with putting him in straight away, but for what it was worth, he came back and was pretty solid too.
He was serviceable. I would have put Pitnet in first before him. I think we really did miss that second ruckman against the brute that is Bruce.
Yep.
So I would have done that first, but it's one game under his belt, so he'll only get better.
Yep. Good point, Andrew. Missed Hewitt. Giants clearance work was from the area he usually mans. He's an integral part of that group now. He's just the quiet achiever in there. He's not flashy. He just gets the job done. You don't often see his work on the ground. You just got to go back and watch the replay and see how many touches he gets, just to see the contribution he's getting and the work and the balls he's getting out to the other mids and the wingers and Cripps and Walsh. He's the engine room in there now, and the barometer.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the first discussion point for everyone. Hewitt has got a back problem and is listed as a week to week issue. See if he's good enough. See if the back's good enough. He's out this week. My question to you, Trevor, and the audience would be: do you rest him for the rest of the season?
Yeah, that's a good point. I actually didn't read that too closely, and the fact you've just told me that's put a real dampener on my afternoon, to be frank. I'm reading it on the Carlton website now, and yes, you are right. Is a week-to-week assessment to play. That's gone from soreness last week to a week-to-week assessment. That sounds pretty serious.
Yeah, it's probably not. If it was serious, it would be you're straight out. It's probably a niggle, but a niggle in the back is not something that you want to fuck with. I think. I'd say this guy's a long term player with that or player with us, albeit what he's 26, 27. So the next 4 or 5 years he's got to be with us. Let's not stuff him up now.
What does week-to-week assessment even mean? That means to me he could, he might not play, and he may play. I don't know.
Well, I'm thinking of Oscar McDonald here because he was the same. It was a week-to-week proposition, and then he was 5 weeks, 6 weeks out for the season.
Look, if that's the case, and there's something serious or sinister going on, and a potential bigger issue, then we've got a real problem because, as Andrew said, George Hewitt's a big miss in there. We've got a player that can cover him. We've got players that can cover him, but the fact that and the performances he's put in this year and how important he's been to our mids is going to really, really hurt us.
Yeah. Yep.
And Andrew's putting further dampeners on this with his genius understanding and knowledge. Missed the last 10 weeks of 2020 season with a bulging disc when it swans.
Okay, so that's on ice for me. You've got to do it just to look after the man, the person.
Well, we know what happened with Cripper's back. We played him and nearly broke his bloody back.
Yeah.
We're just reading what Andrew said. There's a fair chance that a bulging disc is an injury that does sometimes come back to haunt you.
Yep. On ice.
Gee, I don't want to do the show anymore. I'm just put the dampener on us.
Yeah.
All right. So who comes in? Who's his replacement? Setterfield came in, and he's been playing that outside role, or has played the outside role on the twos, and played that outside role on the weekend, and it was probably one of his best games for the footy club in a long, long time. Is he someone that takes on that role? Is it this Kennedy now that's more focused is on that inside mid role, and then we bring in a Dow? What do we do in that space?
Let's not forget how good Fisher was in taking up that role. It's probably his spot to lose, I'd say.
I don't recall Fisher playing a mid role this year. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. Setterfield, his best game for a long time, if not ever. I've got to say with Setterfield, he gets written off a lot and he looks laconic out there. You meet the bloke and he is so intense. He is just so competitive. He's just so, he's on a different plane in terms of his competitiveness when you meet him. It doesn't translate out in the field. And if it does, and he starts to string together games, this guy could become another A grader for the club if it all comes together. He is that good. His ability is that good, and his competitiveness is that good. He's severely lacking confidence. It would have given him a huge boost on the weekend. Just watch this space and don't discount.
Haven't you said that for 3 years though with setters?
It's I definitely have, and he's definitely a potential man. There's no doubt about it. But if he reaches that potential, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Can we continue to carry potential men in our list? No, we can't. So he's got to the end of the season now, I think, and it's either going to be one way or the other. It's going to be you're now part of this, or you're gone.
And it's just disappointing because you see him play those kind of games, and next week he has in the past dropped his bundle and just had a down game. And it's the same with a lot of our bottom fours, the O'Briens, the Cottrells, Setterfield, some of those other guys. They've had these good flashing games, and then they'll just go missing when the heat's really on them, as we found out with games like Collingwood and the Richmond and the Security game. They just go missing when the heat's on.
And Geelong, yeah. Yeah, look, we've never played Setterfield in his spot, though. He's an inside midfielder who can go outside. That's his bread and butter.
It's good to have these options. Kennedy's game time gone from high 60s to low 80s in the past 3 games. So maybe that's been a factor in the fact that we might have been managing Hewitt's back over the last few weeks. Before that, that's something we might be doing. A few people are saying Dow needs to be coming in. Luigi saying Martin to the midfield to replace Hewitt. I don't have Martin in our 22, let alone our best midfield. I'm sorry, Luigi, and so that's a discussion that could take a whole hour talking about how Jack Martin. I think Kennedy takes that role, but who would be perfect for the Hewitt role coming in, and he's come back and did an injury, and that's bloody Ed Curnow.
Yeah, thinking exactly the same thing.
That would have been a perfect timing for Ed to grab a chance to finish off the rest of the year. But Ed came back as injured again, and he's gonna struggle again to see him.
Yeah, but if you've got Fisher that you can run through there, Setterfield you can run through there, I think you'll find an answer.
Oh, I think we'll find an answer. The disappointing fact that how good he's been for us.
Do you bring Carroll back?
Oh, I think Carroll's still behind a few.
Yeah, okay.
I think he's behind a few.
So Ricky Spencer has addressed the elephant in the room. Dow has a line through him. So my question to everyone, including you, Trev, is has he already got a contract elsewhere?
I doubt it because he's got a Carlton 23 contract.
Okay, but yeah, these things, there's always a workaround.
Yeah. He'd be talking. He'd be talking. Geelong are talking to him. Richmond are talking to him.
If he goes to Geelong, he'll become the greatest player ever.
Of course. That's all happens. But so he'd be looking for opportunity.
Yeah.
There's something not right. This doesn't match up with what Voss has said in the past and what is happening with his performances and the fact that they keep going back to O'Brien and again to Setterfield, even though Setterfield had a pretty good game in the twos that might have warranted selection. There's something going on.
I thought O'Brien was a bit more composed too. I thought he played a good game, and albeit he didn't play the Geelong game, which would have been a good test for him.
But yeah, I think he's got a line through him. If it's not him now coming in to replace Hewitt, then it's never going to happen.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
But like I said, got a few options. I'm a fan of Kennedy in there to do that. Kennedy's playing that grunt role with Pitnet coming back in. Potentially, Kennedy doesn't have to play too much down in defence and being a bit of a backstop there.
It's a great point. Sorry to cut you off, Trev, but how much better was Kennedy with Pitnet rucking? It was like those two had some sort of thing going on.
They work really well together. the bigger question, I suppose, is that does Pitnet come straight in after he's had a crack at the in the twos?
Undoubtedly, I think that's where we're really lacking. And we've all said it. JSOS is fantastic at what he does. He's a competitive beast. He's been thrown into this ruck role. Sorry, he threw himself into this ruck role. But you're never comfortable when he's doing that.
No.
What I want to see, and I've said this a few weeks ago on the show, is the team that gets it right for 100 minutes of a competent ruckman, not only competent, but an exceptional ruckman in there is going to win the premiership.
What I like,
Geelong showed us that.
Yeah. Geelong did show us that. What I like about Pitternet coming back in is that it just gives us a whole new dimension with flexibility. I don't know if anyone read today, but our defence is in our, I suppose, our backstop, our second tier defence, and it's been Young and McDonald, and it's been Durden at times, and now obviously we're getting a few back. But our defence seems to be the most solid part of our side. When you would be thinking that with our two talls and our A grade midfield, that would be our biggest strength.
Midfield let us down against.
That's right. Opponents. That's correct. But what I like about Pitternet is immediately it frees Tom De Koning up, because he can do anything. We know he can go back and save a goal. We know he can play forward and just take freakish grabs, and it frees up Silvani. Silvani at a half forward gives him, when Harry's down or when Charlie's down, Silvani can play that link up role. And if we need that third tall to play up because Harry or Charlie's getting double teamed, then we know Tom De Koning can take a mark. So that's what it does to me. Plus, we know Pitnet in general around the ground in his tap work can make our defence, make our midfield work a lot better. So it just opens up a lot for us having him back in the side.
Yeah, and he rests back and does a commendable job sitting in the hole, whereas TDK goes forward. I mean, that's their other strengths. That's their other string to the bow. So they really do complement rather than take each other's spots. There's no doubt about it. Sauce was a wonderful point that you just raised. We saw that on the weekend. Harry was a bit out of sorts. Charlie was double, triple teamed, and then all of a sudden the eyes are lowered and JSOS is there. It's a potent combination. So don't ruin that by chucking him in the ruck.
Yep.
What I said last week, though, I still hold, is that if we're really under the pump like we were against Geelong, get him in the midfield to read the taps. Because he's been a ruckman. He knows what's going on.
Yep. 100% agree. And look, perfect timing. At the moment, we've had these injuries. Marchbank played back in the twos, got through that. Obviously,
I was so happy with that. I thought he was, well late in the season, like last two rounds.
Yeah,
that was wonderful to see.
Yeah. So I'd expect him to play this week. I'd expect Pitnet to play this week. It's just really really good timing to get some hit outs in. I don't know if you've done a ladder predictor. Has anyone done a ladder predictor? I succumbed to the pressure and did one on the weekend. I got us at 5th. That's where I put us, and I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as we're above Collingwood, I don't care.
Well, wouldn't it? How and the draws just come out for the last game of the season, and it's Collingwood Carlton 3:20 on Sunday for a start. What a ridiculous time to have a bloody blockbuster game.
Oh, gee, that's terrible. It should be Friday night football. Get 100,000 people there. That's terrible.
Something to do with I think they're coming back from a Perth game or something like that to give them a bit more time. It didn't seem to worry us when we had to come back from Perth. But it's all about the best TV.
Yeah, it always has been. That's a baffling decision, because Friday night football, you'll get a massive audience.
Yeah,
because it's already set up that it's going to be a battle for some position in the 8.
Yep.
It's probably going to be the best game of the year.
Yeah.
Most important game of the year. Idiots.
Jason Allen, awesome to have you joining us. Makes a really good point, and we talked about our midfield sort of coming down, and it probably coincided with Pitto going out too in terms of his, his stats. Number one hitouts to advantage, says Jason. They'll really benefit from Pitto coming back.
Yeah, TDK's been grouse, but he's not 100 minutes.
No, you're right. Carly Boomber says give Marchbank a couple of weeks in the twos.
Definitely not.
No, we can't have you. You don't have your stallions sitting in the shed. You got to get him out on the main game. If he's good enough to play twos, he's good enough to play ones. In my opinion, he showed that last time. Did he come back? Did he come straight back in after his extended layoff?
No, he had first half in the Magoos.
Yeah, and then came straight back in. Yeah. Smashed it in the first half. Was a cut above. There's no doubt about it. He'll come straight back in this week.
Andrew will probably pull me up on this, but I think he had 18, 20 possessions in the half that he played in the twos, and it was just silk.
Yep, 100%.
Now I would see him come. Sorry, we'll go to that a bit later, but I've got him picked out.
What else did you like from the game on the weekend, Johnny? I didn't really like anything. I just liked that we got the job done. It was a bit clinical. It was nothing special. There was some fantastic highlights. Sard, I'm just about to convert to Islam. I think because I love him that much. That's how much I'm loving what he does, and he's just a surgeon when he gets the ball. Some of his precision kicks when he got the footy on the run is just unbelievable. He just hit targets, marking. He's just taken it to another level.
Yeah, and the point from Kane Corns was correct as well, that he's taken his defensive game to another level, which puts him in All-Australian contention.
A lock. Him and Doc are a lock of All-Australian.
Doc is a lock.
And the Wolf's getting around. The Wolf help gets the crowd up as well too.
Oh yeah, that's all bullshit. That sort of stuff. But he was just magical on the weekend. He was just fantastic. You cannot pick his kicks because he runs so far to the left and then screws it across his body, pinpoint, but can do the straight down the line as well to pinpoint as well. Peripheral vision. Yeah,
I think he's got more than peripheral vision. I think he's like a periscope in a submarine. He can turn his head around like that and just see everywhere. You just don't know where he's going to kick it. You can't. As a defender, you can't. You can't pick the fact that he's gonna go one way or another. Usually, you can. You project in some instances where you're going to kick the footy, but Sard, you don't know. And most of the time, he's just going to hit someone on the tit.
Yeah. Darren Famillo, Sard, Greg Williams a second. Well, he can probably kick twice as far as what Greg could, but I understand your point.
Run a little bit faster than Noel Diesel too.
But I get your point in terms of on the chest, on the logo, absolutely.
Hello to you, Mag Champion. Saints game killed our top four. Chance a month ago, I saw Adelaide as potential trap. Now must a win game. Yeah, just losing those games. They come back to haunt you. Just in a year of such closeness, where now there's one standout team. Geelong are clearly the standout, but in a year of closeness, the fact that we could have snuck into a top four, and we look at some of these games, we regret, but we move on.
Yeah. The main regret for me is the Suns game. We just looked shit house. That was a terrible loss. Now, Andrew, this is one out of the box. I'm not sure I agree with this.
Lewis Young has gone into his shell since Reading has returned, lost his marking nous. Does he make way for Marchbank now that McGovern is also back? Whoa, that's pretty contentious. Wow.
I thought he was still very, very good.
I wouldn't say he's gone into his shell. But he seems to be not taking going for the marks that he would normally go for. He's going the punt, the double fister. It was very, very noticeable on the weekend that he didn't take marks when he was really, really clear. Gone into his shell, possibly playing that second tier, don't know. But definitely not going for the marks he was going for and taking before Wiedering came back. Don't see him making way for Marchbank and McGovern. I think we fit them. I think we fit them all in there at the moment.
So, Andrew, I think this is probably the first time I've ever disagreed with you, and strongly.
I think Andrew's making discussion. I don't know if he's definitively saying that. He's putting these things up for debate.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Yeah, like I did with a point on Facebook the other day, and we'll get to that in a minute. In terms of discussion, I'm going to say no, because we need to get as many games into Lewis, Young, and Wiedering together as being our two stalwarts of that back line. And he may not have been ready in terms of they haven't played much together, have they? Really?
Yeah.
So he's just a little bit gun shy, I think, because Wiedering is the number one, so he's got to play that number two, and it's how they work together.
He's the other key position too. Like Marchbank and McGovern probably aren't your key positions. Man on man type roles. McGovern and Marchbank are your interceptor X factors who will play on the third tier forward. That's where I see that. So I think Lewis, Young, and Marchbank are your two key pillars now.
Yeah, Marchbank and both of them were recruited for the wrong reasons to be key positions. That's not their game.
Either way, it's great to see that. McGovern coming back was fantastic. Marchie coming back will fill. I did a team the other day and I had them all in there, so I definitely think we can fit all of them in there. And Marchbank can move up the ground too. He can play a wing role too, so he's got a bit of flexibility up there as well. Who else have we got? Someone said Collingwood. Who said Collingwood? Someone said that. Over Collingwood winning, may have let out a few expletives when I thought them beat Essendon, and then I realised they beat Essendon. So either way, it made me feel okay. I'm not over it. I'm just looking forward to getting our revenge on them last round.
Oh, look, they're obviously got huge problems too. They were 40 something points up a quarter time, and gave it away and were 20 down. So that's a 10-goal turnaround. They've got huge problems. But yes, they found a way. But fuck,
and they haven't been beating anyone either. Let's be frank. They've been winning, but they haven't beaten anyone.
Yes.
Who have they got this week? I don't know. Is they got a challenge this week?
Oh, who cares? They scum.
Port Adelaide. So Port will beat them over here. The real Magpies will beat them.
Yeah, is that in Port Adelaide or Melbourne?
That's in Melbourne. Port Adelaide will still do that.
Yeah. We all go for the real Magpies.
Someone is asking the thoughts on Joe's asking us the thoughts on Joe Kanicki Price. G'day, Joe. Thanks for tuning in, mate. Really appreciate your question. The Liam Jones situation. Johnny, you'll take on that.
Yeah, well, I saw him in the QAFL against Noosa, and he was up forward. He wasn't down back in his normal role. And yes, there were periods where he looked superior, and then he got shut down, and he didn't look. He went missing basically in the second half. And Noosa play them again next week. I think it was going to be another really good test, but to see. But he's not playing 100 minutes in, a subpar league, if you like. So if he comes back, good on him. We definitely need compensation from the AFL because it was their rules that we lost him. So we do need some compensation in that.
The club's come out today and said that if he does return, then they will be seeking that compensation. And I'd expect that to be a given that we'd get something for that.
Question for you: should we get compensation because he's gone and the rules have changed, even if he doesn't come back?
Yeah, we should. We should. It's no different. It's no different. We still lost a player, haven't we?
Correct.
So either way, we should be going for compensation. The rules have changed. 100% agree. Without that, we should be getting it.
Yeah. So it was nothing to do with us.
Yep.
Nothing to do with
Yep.
our relationship with Liam.
Yep.
He would much rather be back at Carlton.
Angelo Gravina says, looks like we'll get a third rounder for Liam Jones. Probably take that.
Second.
Well, yeah, the AFL are going to play hardball with us, aren't they?
Yeah, but you don't pick anything up in the third round, you know.
No.
Just unless it's going to help us with father sons or whatever down the track. But you don't pick anything up in the third. It needs to be a second.
No. Who else have we got? Debbie says we should rookie list him. Not for me. I think there's some bad blood. I think with the club and him. I think they've moved on. I think they're very pissed off that he went down that path. So I don't think we'll be going after him in that space.
Michael Voss said in 2 interviews has been quite adamant. He's been quite explicit in saying that's not going to happen.
Nathan Thompson, g'day Nathan. What's the go with Sam Philp at the moment? Hasn't been talked about much this year. Foot injury, I think he's out for the season. So he's had stress fracture in his foot for a while. So don't know what his contract situation is, but I think he's out of contract. Out for the season, of course. Probably the last we've seen of Sam Philp, to be honest. I think there's a few that have jumped ahead of him.
Yeah,
young, but yeah, don't know.
It's again one of those ones that's full of potential, but he's probably full of the same potential that Cunningham is. So it's.
I like what he brought. I like what he brought to the side. It would be a rookie situation. But yeah, that's his situation right now in terms of him being out.
As another club, would you take a punt on him? You probably wouldn't.
Probably not. No, not when there's all these kids in the draft to have a crack at.
Yeah, interesting. He's a bit of a fun fact with Sam Philp. I was talking to a bloke who had a chat to him, and that whole Philp family were massive and rabid Richmond Tigers supporters, but Sam convinced all of them to become, including his grandfather, who'd been a Richmond supporter for 50 years, to come over to Carlton. How's that for gift to the gab?
That's pretty cool. Well, so they should, let's be honest. So they should.
I don't know. If I had a kid that went to Richmond, no, I'd find it very tough.
Well, you wouldn't let your kid go to Richmond, let's be honest, mate.
I barrack for the Noosa Tigers. I never once have yelled out, "Go Tigers!" Yet. Go Noosa.
Mate, good work. I love it. Good work. Very good work. Who else have we got? Lana Owens, good day to you, Lana. Thank you for tuning in. Love your stuff. Andrew says back on Liam Jones, had to wait 6 months to replace him as well. That's another issue too. So yeah, we were without a player in that space. Mac Champion's asking about Cunners. Any insight? I'd like to say a bit of insight in terms of what I know about the club, and the club has really been very, very good at not having any sort of outside stuff get out this year. Normally, you'd hear something, and I'd normally get a bit of a tip about who's going to be in the side this week or who's going out. It's been none of that. So the club, they've got a specific person that's doing that. He's an ex-Australian Federal Police person, in fact, and so he's tightened things down in the club in terms of leaks, which is good because you don't want a club leaking stuff. He even gave me a phone call, and I thought, what have I done now? I had to go back through my internet search history quickly and delete a lot of stuff, but he was just ringing up to say good day. But look, that's been a good thing from the club in terms of Cunners. Yeah, clearly, he was slated to come back mid-season. That hasn't happened. They're still talking about him coming back late in the season.
That's
clearly
pretty much off the cards now.
Yeah,
The
so
top
why
line of the
would
injury
you?
report
Yeah,
has
why?
not been able to increase his training loads at this
Yeah.
stage. Well, we've only got 4 games left or 3 games left, so
Yeah.
that's you rule him out now.
Yeah. So clearly something has happened in his rehab or his operation that hasn't gone to plan.
Yeah, might even just be a fitness thing.
Could be too. Angelo Gravina says Carl Amon from Port Adelaide still on the cards. I don't know why he wouldn't be on the cards. Do you know something we don't, Angelo? I thought someone said we'd ruled him out. I don't know why we would have ruled him out. He's definitely one player that we've got to look at for sure.
Salary cap ruled him out, and going to North Melbourne, Yeah.
Okay. Mate, we're in the window. We need these kind of players. Zachy Williams, he'll be another valuable player back very soon, we hope. Playing the last fortnight of the season, so that, according to the Carlton website, that probably does rule him out for a comeback, unless he wants to play in the grand final.
Yeah, superfluous to needs.
Haven't missed him, have we?
Nah, not at all.
We haven't missed him, which is a good thing. But he's a player that would add value to our side. But I don't think we've missed him, particularly with the form of Doc and Sard and Newman's. I rate Newman higher than Williams.
Yeah, look, he was, well, let's not beat around the bush. He was brought in to be a midfielder, was not fit enough, and so we had to put him back to his halfback flank role. And there's better options in both the midfield and the halfback flank. So, Sorry, mate.
Luigi says, get Cunners ready for next year or the year after Lana Owens, Sauce is the bomb. Love our passionate bleed blue boy. Yep, he's our man. I told everyone at the start of the year that he'd be the man this year, and him and Kennedy, I think, are our barometers. Andrew Lake makes a good point. Our fixture with the VFL hurts us by next week. So, yeah, that's another reason why, putting Pitto and Marchbank straight in will work. Will work for us. And they're probably the only ones we need to get games back that are coming back, really.
Poor Andrew. Twice in one session, I disagree with you, because if you haven't got that sorted now, of who's going to return, with 3-4 weeks to go, yeah.
Oh, I think it's more about the opportunity for getting players back, actually, rather than sorting them out. We want these players to play so we can get games into them in the event of we need them.
Which ones?
Any of our players, any players.
But Marchbank come back. Owies is fit. He doesn't need the twos.
Mm-hmm.
Who actually needs the twos to come back?
Good point.
Thank you.
Good point.
I'm going to throw it open to the audience. Can you pick a player who needs to come back via the twos?
Jack Martin, there's one right now. Well, thank you very much, Lana. Thoughts on Jack Martin? How does he fit in now? There's a few people who have commented about Jack tonight about being lazy. I agree. I think someone asked me about Honey as well. I'm not sure about that. Darren talked about Honey. I think Honey has way more value than Jack Martin. I think works way more harder than Jack Martin. Although we've discussed it before, that half forward spot is a pretty hard position to play in our team, given the way that we structure up with those two big forwards. So yeah, but I just don't think Jack's done anything that of note that, first of all, would see him come straight back in the twos, straight back in the side. And yeah, just don't think he works hard enough. obviously he's injury prone. I just don't have him, unfortunately, in our best 22. What we do with him is another question. Obviously contracted and back end contracted. It's up to Jack. Work his ass off. If he wants to play on our side, he's got to work hard. That's what it comes down to. Richie Benincasa wants to talk about Plough. Plough needs a mention tonight. He played a pretty solid game, 100% efficiency. I liked his game. Everyone was sort of worried that we'd get towed up down there by Toby Green and that we should have picked Stocker. I thought Plough was very, very, very solid and deserves a little mention as well. Who else have we got? Mac Champion says Phillips P20, Thompson down next pick 20, Thompson down next pick, then Devon Robertson pick 22. Maybe we should have gone for Thompson down. You got no sound, Johnny. The best you've sounded all for a long time, actually. You can obviously hear us. Oh, you can hear. Damn it.
Is that better?
That's better. You didn't hear what I said, did you, by chance?
Yes, I did, you bastard. Philp was a great get. He's just been injured.
Yep. Jack and a few others will need to pay cuts for Charlie, says Angelo Gravina, K and TDK. I think there's a bit of a consensus. We've said it a few weeks ago that the boys are happy to try and stick together, so I think that'll be resolved. Oh, Andrew's putting a downer on the night again. COVID become a factor, 2 consecutive interstate trips. Jeez, I don't want to think about. I don't even want to go there or think about that.
Yeah, every club's up for it, so you know
what. Just be, yeah. I heard the North Melbourne players. There's a few North Melbourne players out this week. They've actually gone out deliberately to get COVID because they just didn't want to play for North Melbourne.
Oh, that's harsh.
All right, Johnny, there is 3 games remaining.
3 or 4?
Is that 4? I don't know. You tell me. What did I say?
We've got Adelaide, Melbourne,
Collingwood, and Brisbane. So there's 4
Brisbane,
games remaining.
Collingwood, yeah.
My bad.
Sorry, Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne, Collingwood.
What do you foresee in your mind's eye, your oracle, and put this out to everyone else? 4 games remaining. What do you see happening in those last 4 games?
Well, we should win this week, but I don't want to say that because we as a team obviously went into the Giants game thinking we should win that. In that first half, we just that's what we looked like. If you do that against Adelaide in Adelaide and get their tails up, then you really are in a bad place, aren't you? So Brisbane are a bit of a harder task. I think it's really come to pass that if you shut down Lachie Neale in the middle, which might be a good one. Oh, sorry, Ed Curno's not fit. So you shut down him in the middle, then things are going to happen your way. So we'll see what happens there. That's a very, very winnable game. Melbourne's a very, very winnable game in terms of at the start of the season, pre-season, when they were hot as hell, we smashed their midfield. So we might have it against them there. And Collingwood, well, they're due for losses now, aren't they? And like I said, with the Essendon game, to go from that far up to be that far down and to come back, even though they come back and won it, there's some huge problems there. And there's obviously huge weaknesses there that can be exploited.
Yeah.
So what do I think? I think 2 out of 4 is par. You start getting to 3 or 4 out of 4, you push for top 4.
Yeah, look, it's difficult. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, particularly given our history of doing that, and then the shit hits the fan. Was it last year that Adelaide smashed us over there when we were expected to win that one. I'm not sure whether it was last year or the year before. I've still got really bad memories of that. That's how bad I can't remember. I've tried to wipe it from from my memory banks. Russell Dobson, Collingwood game is the only certainty. Look, Brisbane aren't travelling super well. We're playing them in their home dunghill, which is a different situation. Adelaide are obviously where they are there, but they played some pretty good footy, and they do match up well against us. It would be one that we would expect to win. Right now, we probably need to start ramping up and start playing a kind of brand of footy that we would want to try and hold up for finals. So that I think needs to happen now, or at least after the Adelaide game, because they're great games to lead into finals, and we're not there yet. I know that, but in terms of the games leading up to that with Brisbane, Melbourne, and Collingwood, they're great lead-ups. They're great lead-ups. And if we don't make the top four, we don't make the top four. If we make finals, great. They'll be great lead-up games for us. And it would be great to lead into those games and to try and win a final. That's my goal right now, is to win a final. And from then on, the icing's on the cake.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think top four's a stretch now, even though we're a game and percentage out of top four, I think.
Mm-hmm.
What I said holds true. You need to probably win 3 or 4 to get there, I think, which is probably a little unrealistic.
Yeah, and there's players breathing down your neck as well. Tell me this: elimination final. Who don't you want to play?
Shit. No, I don't want to pot players.
No, what club what team do you want to play in the elimination final? Who don't you want to go up against?
Oh, who don't I want to go up against? Anyone interstate.
Yeah, Angela just took the words out of my mouth. Going up to Sydney for elimination final wouldn't please me at all.
That's as difficult as going up against Geelong.
I'd love to play in an elimination final. Is Richmond?
Nah, they're 9th this year. Don't worry about that.
That's okay. They never know. If they come into 8th, I'll happily take them on an elimination final. Are you saying the F word? Are we definitely playing finals?
No, we need to win 2 games, 2 of the 4, to cement it.
Jeez. Okay.
Like we're 2 games. I think we're 2 games ahead. But if we lose 4, then there's every chance that we're not. So let's go with 2 wins to make it, 3 and 4 to go to push the top 4.
The closeness of the seasons, had good and bad impacts, isn't it? Especially when it comes to this year, the closeness of the season means we're still not there and guaranteed. But the fact of us being able to take on and potentially win these games is good opportunities as well.
Well, look, that's a great point, because if you lose to Brisbane at home, you lose to Melbourne at the MCG, or Collingwood at the MCG, you probably don't deserve to be there, do you?
Yeah.
If you win them, then you do.
Luigi makes a great point, and mate, I have faith. I do have faith. There is no reason why we can't win. Our best footy is better than Adelaide's. Our best footy is on par with Brisbane's best footy, and we know that we can match up well against Melbourne. And the filth are just pretenders playing against low teams, scraping over the line. So absolutely no reason why we can't win all 4, and winning all 4 would also provide a great run into a final. So win all 4, we probably do make top 4.
Yeah, I agree with that too. There's no reason that we can't, but we've shown when the pressure's on, we do falter a little and we don't go 4 quarters, which won't get you across the line with Melbourne.
Yeah.
Probably won't get you across the line with Collingwood, and that was proven a few weeks ago. And it won't get you across the line with Brisbane in Brisbane.
Yeah. All righty, been a fun show. Thank you very much for all our awesome viewers and listeners, we really appreciate your input. You guys are the show, and I'm enjoying my little Starwood whiskey tonight. I think I'm feeling a little bit better after the cup of tea / whiskey combination. I should have just put the whiskey in the tea. That might have been a bit sacrilegious, but you never know.
Yes. We didn't do votes for the last game.
No, give us your votes. Give us your best players.
Well, look, JR being JR, going to do something different. I'm going to give 3 votes to 3, 2, and 1 to the most maligned players on our list. I'm going to give 3 votes to Setterfield. I thought he had a wonderful game and really deserves his spot. And like I said earlier, if he can get it together, we've got another A grader there. I'm going to do 2 votes to O'Brien. I thought he was fantastic as well. And then 1 vote to our man Plowman, who had 100% kicking efficiency out of the back line.
Yes, JR, you are a little bit different, but that's what we love about you. Does anyone agree with Johnny's votes? Luigi says 3 Sard, 2 Walsh, 1 Setters. Russell Dobson, 3 Sard, 2 Walsh, 1 Doc. Debbie says Sard, Walsh, and Obi. Angelo says Sard, and Sard. 3 Sard, fair enough.
I think in terms of changing the game, you've got to go 3 votes for Walsh.
Yeah, look, I think probably Cripps probably changed the game a little bit as well. I didn't think too much about votes this week, but probably Sard. I think Sard was the one that sort of put the game open, spread the game open, and he's set up those couple of goals that we really needed. Kennedy, I loved his his 2-way running.
But the game really changed. Like someone said earlier, sorry, I forgot who it was, that as soon as Walsh come back from the injury, everything lifted.
But all he did was come back on. You can't give him a vote for coming back on.
But then backed it up with 2 courageous plays where he could have been straight back off.
Yeah, no, good point. And good on Mr. Plough for getting a vote. Who's winning the best and fairest right now? I'll put that to you, Johnny, and everyone else.
Oh, Cripper still.
Yep.
Yeah, from his front half of the season, he's got that many votes. He won't be caught.
John Nichols medal tickets went on sale during the week, I think. That's going to be a fun event. I don't think it's all Cripper's way. I think it's Cripps, Sard, Doc, and Walsh at the moment up there. So, you could... Did I say Sard? Yeah, so I think you throw a blanket over those guys.
Yeah, no. Cripper by the length of the straight, and then the others will fight it out.
Okay. Cripper from Doc says Lana. Walsh says Anthony Gravina. Walsh best and fairest says Luigi. Sard and Doherty says Andrew Lake. There's a bit of a mix. It's not all said and done.
Fair enough.
All right, Adelaide this week. Before we wrap up, Johnny. No outlandish predictions from me and ridiculous scores. I want us to. Adelaide's another one we need to put to the sword. We put West Coast to the sword after a couple of shitty quarters. We put them to the sword, and we need to do the same to Adelaide. Pitto back, march back bank, get some run into them. TDK up there. There's another forward option. J Sauce in the forward line. For me, Honey probably misses out, unfortunately. Setterfield keeps his spot. Cottrell keeps his spot. I don't know if I've got room for Dow to come in for Hewitt. Not 100% sure. But that's they're the changes for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I treat this like the GWS game. As if we lower our guard, we're going to get run over.
Yep.
If we play the way that we should play, we should decimate them.
Yep.
It's up to Carlton.
Yep, up to Carlton as it is every week. We know that there's 2 Carltons, unfortunately. We want to see A grade Carlton. Darren,
that gap is closing though. That gap is closing.
Yeah. Darren Famillo, he lives here, he just wants to win. Don't want to hear it at work. Don't drive your car to work, mate. Just, because you could get a little bit damaged. Going to the game, Darren, mate. We need a roving reporter in Adelaide. Maybe you could be our Adelaide roving reporter. We'll see what happens. Motlop and Honey Out says Deb. Sorry, no, yep. Deb says Motlop and Honey Out.
Yeah, I could see Motlop coming out.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I think
Owlies.
Don't see Owlies coming back in. I can see Fisher moving up the ground a little bit, maybe as well, particularly if Jack's spending more time at half forward. Benny will be at the Adelaide game. Maybe Benny can be our roving reporter. You're too much of a drunk, though, Benny. You just get drunk and just run out in the field, knowing you. No, we'll take you, mate. Anyone wants to be our Adelaide reporter, let us know. Anthony Walsh, Adelaide don't have the defensive cattle to handle the Twin Towers. Yeah, you're probably right there.
Not many teams do, but it's all the battle of the midfield, isn't it? If we get first use out of the midfield, then not many teams, if any teams, can match us there.
Geelong, Adelaide in particular, probably don't have that going on. Small forwards are our Achilles heel. They're not. Our best small forward is Charlie Curnow at the moment. He's the one that's just kicking back and roving packs and getting goals. They're doing it all themselves, the boys. But no, look, took close attention to Durden on the weekend. He's got plenty of gears and plenty of wheels, and he's there. He's there competing. When it's coming to ground, he's there. Motlop is being. They're doing what they need to do to keep it in that forward 50. So I'm liking what they're bringing, even though they're not kicking goals. It'd be nice to get a couple each of them each week, but we're still getting the scores on the board and they're still locking it in there. So I'm happy with the work that they're doing.
So interesting. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Noosa, and their coach has come from Ainsley in the Canberra League to come and coach them. He was a 5-time premiership coach or something like that, something ridiculous like that. And one thing that he said last week just struck me right across the face with a wet fish, is he said forward pressure and the stats that you get, or the stats or the 1% that you get as forward pressure, are as equally important as goals.
Yeah, look, that's I don't know about equally important, but they're certainly very, very important. It's a team first mentality. Someone mentioned that Motlop didn't get a kick. He's someone who else said his leads weren't getting honoured. There's no doubt they're looking and lowering their eyes for Harry and Charlie, and it's hard to ignore them. They've got to be the targets for sure. They've just got to continue to be in the right spots. That's what they've got to do. And continue to lock it in, and that's their roles. Whoever's kicking the goals is to me irrelevant. Charlie is popping up and kicking the goals, kicking multiple goals, 4 goals. The midfield's popping up with some. So it'd be nice to see them on the scoreboard a little bit more. I think Motlop's obviously still learning the capers. Durden's still learning the caper as well. So we've got to consider that fact as well.
Yeah. What I like with midfielders at their best, and Sada's one of these, although he's not a midfielder, is you kick to draw the lead as well.
Good point. Motlop might need a rest, says Darren. He's only a young fella. Yeah,
that's fair enough. Yeah. And it's no slight against him, is it?
We also have to consider as supporters, though, the role playing they do. We often look at stats, and he's got 1 kick, 2 kicks. We've got to look, and we look at also Plowman's another one of those guys who gets name bandied around, and he didn't get enough stats. But we've got to look at and consider the fact that these guys are playing particular roles for particular teams. There's a lot of homework that goes into the opposition teams about how they play, how they structure up. And each week, it might be not Motlop's role to get a kick. It might be his role to draw out a particular defender, or to sit in a hole, or just to lock it in. So week to week, doing their roles means we win the game. And let's just look at the kicks and goal stat when we look at evaluating a player's game all the
Yeah,
time.
some great comments here though. That to counter your point there with Motlop, Motlop didn't pressure 2 tackles and no kicks. Motlop, this is the one that got me. Motlop went for a specky that at one stage it was more than one stage. He went up too many times and where he should have been front and square
Yep.
or over the back reading the play.
Yep.
That's the sort of stuff that will get him dropped.
Yeah, I
Not the
think.
stats.
Yeah, no, all excellent points. I think he's still got a bit of an individual mindset in some instances.
Yeah.
So I think he's got to get got to get that out of his game for sure. So agree with that, and someone's got to make way for these other players like Marchbank and Pitnet. Maybe Honey can play a mid-small forward role. Maybe he'd better suited to try and put him up closer to the goals rather than half forward. So maybe you have your Durdens and your Honey in the forward pocket. Maybe that's an idea, and you put Tate Motlop out.
Yeah. Yeah, too many discussion points. We better cut it off.
Yes, better get going. It's 8:37. Been a fantastic conversation, everyone, tonight. Really loved what everyone's brought to the table. We've had a lot of input. They've had a lot of counteraction to our bullshit, Johnny. Andrew Lake's been in our ear plenty of times to back us up as well.
Do you know how much trouble we're in for telling him he was wrong?
Yeah, we know he was not wrong. Let's be honest.
we're just creating conversation, really.
Matt Champion says fit full list, risk of being too tall. We risk it, but I think the balance is there to play what we need to whatever opposition we're coming up against. The fact is, it's just great we've got these players, coming back now, and they're two of our most important players in Pitnet and Marchbank. Some of the others like Williams and Hewitt obviously is important too, and that's just really dampened my night, reminding me about that one. Hopefully he can get up, but it's not looking good. But yeah, Marchbank and Pitnet in terms of our structure and what we can put around them is really important.
Yeah. I've got another point on Hewitt. Let's save it for next week.
All right. Thank you very much for that, ladies and gentlemen. Really appreciate it. Johnny, you're looking fantastic, sounding fantastic. If anyone wants to be our Adelaide roving reporter, let me know. Send us a message in our inbox. We'll work something out. If there's an event up there or to get some live stuff happening, we'd love to have you part of our team. Makes it all a bit more engaging when we've got that happening over when we're playing interstate, and also a bit of insight for everyone else who can't get to the games as well. It's cool to have that stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're going to the Brisbane game in 2 weeks' time, I'll be down there. I'll be going to the pre-match function and giving a few updates from there. I'm not going to be part of the cheer squad, and the tickets that were there, I was too late. So I'll be up in the nosebleeds, but I'll definitely be part of the pre-match function. Probably go to training if it's there. So come and say hello and go to the Blues.
Signing autographs?
Well,
Is it true there's a John Rowe bobblehead being sold? Is that just true? Or is it just
limited edition? Yes, limited edition. Yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, get in early because Johnny charges $5 for a signature, by the way. So make sure you're cashed up when you get up there.
Carlia, can't wait to meet you again. We did meet at that what was it, Guernsey presentation night, but looking forward to seeing you there.
Nothing against you, Johnny, but Carlia will be a much better roving reporter than you are.
Oh, much better looking.
You're just a roving lunatic.
Yes. Well done. Well played.
All right. Love your stuff. Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening. Have a good rest of the week. We will be back on board next week after our big win against Adelaide by 78 points.
Says he is not going to give a stupid prediction.
Oh, yeah. Whoops.
No,
No, everyone.
thought the cameras were off.
Oops, I know. Too many of these. Too many of these babies. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. See you next week. Really appreciate your stuff. Thanks, Johnny. Good night. See you next
good
week.
on you, mate.
Go Blues.
Cheers.